You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode 135.1. Mike Rich reacts to the Pacers' 120 to 112 New Year's Eve loss to the Milwaukee Bucks. We also discuss the Pacers' run of recent success.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Welcome back, Mike Rich. Do you have a good Christmas?
I did. How about you?
Fantastic. I got to spend it with Susie and my family, and it went very well. Any New Year's resolutions? Any New Year's plans?
Uh, no, not really. I just hope to continue what have been doing in the last couple of years is,
Well, that's
continue
always good.
to,
That's always
yeah,
good.
just continue what I'm doing. Exercising 3 to 4 times a week and getting a good amount of cardio. I had over 1,000 miles of
Nice.
jogging this year, so yeah, I hope maybe do a little more than 1,000 miles next year.
All right. Well, that's good. Keep us up to date. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Disappointing loss today. The Pacers lost 120 to 112 to the Milwaukee Bucks. I think the most disappointing thing is that they played pretty well for most of the game.
Yeah, for about 44 minutes, they
Yeah.
played really well.
Yeah. I think that's why this is so disappointing.
Yes, yeah, just the turnovers, the free throw shooting was, I mean, I think those are two big keys that cost them the game. And well, other than Giannis and
Yes.
being dominant as he is, but no, I thought I think they had 19 points off turnovers. Milwaukee had 19 points off turnovers, which was not good. And I think the Pacers shot 63% from from the free throw line, and I think that was the difference in the game.
Well, for one thing, Andrew Nimhard, I've been wanting to talk to you about this, seems to have gone to another level as a player.
Yes.
He seems more confident. He's become more of a leader, more of a go to player. And today, just could not hit anything.
No, just a bad night of shooting. And but I thought, looking back at the Celtics game and just the difference between the two games that they had with the Celtics. I mean, Nemhard was a major factor in the win,
Yeah.
and is exactly what the Pacers need, is that leadership. That I think him and Halliburton play really well together. They play well off of each other. Yeah, and I think, I just hope that continues to evolve. I mean, we're hovering right around 500. Just, would have loved to have been at 500 tonight, or yeah, 500 tonight, and going into the new year, hopeful
Especially
that
because the Pacers look like the better team most of the night.
they did. They definitely did. I thought Nemhard did a fantastic job on Lillard. Just defensively, I thought they played pretty well defensively. Um, and I don't I think what Lillard have like 9 points, something like that. Um, and to hold him to 9 points, and
Yeah.
they held him to zero in the first half. And so I thought they did a really good job. I thought Jarris Walker came off the bench, played extremely well as well.
All right. Well, let's
Um,
talk about Jarris Walker real fast because he was the difference maker in getting them the big lead in the first half.
yeah.
Defensively, offensively, he's still raw, not very productive. Takes some bad shots, things like that. Still basically a rookie. But defensively, he is special,
Yeah, yeah,
special.
I agree. I think defensively he played extremely well.
And that was a
Again,
big reason Giannis only had 6 points in the first half. Is
yeah,
that Walker spent a big portion of the game guarding him.
yep. I think that was key.
And then in the second half, we hardly saw him at all. And again, I get it. He is definitely, without question, right now a minus on the offensive end most of the time. Although you can see the special skills that he has, um, as of right now, he is still a minus on the offensive end. So I get why he didn't play that much, but I don't want to turn this into a complain fest because they've been playing really well and they played really well again today. Halliburton still isn't Halliburton for some reason,
No.
at least not very often. 3 for 13 again today. But the rotation, I don't get it. McConnell does not play near enough minutes. 16 minutes for McConnell is not nearly enough. 19 minutes for Shepard is not nearly enough. 16 minutes for Walker isn't nearly enough. And honestly, 5 minutes for Thomas Bryant isn't enough because he gives you really good minutes at that position. And sometimes I wonder about the rotations.
Yeah, I agree. I think, Halliburton, I think just looking at the offensive starters and, you know, everybody was over 30 minutes. I mean, Halliburton and Mathern were 39 and 37 respectively. And I think that's too much. I agree. We have such a deep, strong bench, and I think the rotation, Siakam played 31 minutes and usually one of our top scorers, and I think the way they've used him and rotated him and the rest that he gets, I think has been very beneficial to his game. And I think, you got a great bench, use it.
I agree.
And I mean, yeah, to limit those minutes and, um, to let a 19-point lead just dissipate like it did was just,
Yeah.
letting Milwaukee go on I mean, the whole game, like I said, the first 44 minutes, you're sitting there thinking, they got this. I mean,
Yes.
they're Milwaukee's just not coming at them, and they're not getting. Um, I just don't think they're going to catch them, and then you know,
Yep. Well, to be
kind of,
honest, part of it was Giannis looked like he slept walk through the first half. He looked
yeah,
like he had no interest in playing an afternoon game on New Year's Eve. And I texted you at halftime, even though you weren't
yeah,
watching yet, that I have a feeling he's going to be a little bit better in the second half. And he
yeah,
ended up with 30 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists.
yeah.
He is
He
special,
he
man.
he is. He's special. He's dominant. I mean,
He's the most dominant physically. He's the most physically dominant player I've seen since Shaq.
I would agree with that. I mean, physically, he is just, and he can just turn it on. And,
Yeah.
and I mean, and looking at him, his build is just, I mean,
Yeah.
he
Crazy.
looks cut and ripped. I mean,
It looks like a
it,
it looks like he was built in a lab.
yeah, yeah, because you look at Jokic and you're like, he doesn't look like Giannis.
No. Uh,
Luka doesn't look like Giannis. I
one of them
mean,
hits the gym after the game, and one of them hits the bar after the game. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening there. And yet,
yeah,
the other one's pretty
yeah,
darn good too.
yeah, he is pretty
Jokic is
darn good.
Jokic has just got all those instincts, man.
He does, but I mean, I'm sitting there watching the second half, and I mean, Giannis is playing point. I mean,
Yes,
he's bringing the ball up,
yes, he
he's
is.
he's dishing, and still scores 30 points. I mean, uh,
And is almost
yeah,
always all effort all the time. Today,
yeah.
it looked like he was not interested, and I kept telling Siakam, trying to tell him through the television, stop waking him up, stop trash talking him. He's sleepwalking through this game. What are
Yeah,
you doing?
let him keep
That's
sleepwalking, but
right. And that's exactly when he started waking up.
yeah, and once he did, it was. I mean, he's able to take over a game, and just he's a fantastic player to watch. I hate being on the losing end of it, but I thought they played pretty well. Like I said, for the first 44 minutes of the game, and you know closing it out at home um, would have been nice. You know, so I think they kind of let this one slip away.
All right. Well, let's the next minute or two before you um, go be with your wife on the new year. I just wanted to go through the Pacers' recent play. I think it starts with that Hornets loss that was so disappointing that really
Yeah,
turned me off. And then you have a win, a 14-point win in Philadelphia, 15-point win over New Orleans at home, a very nice 9-point win in Phoenix, a very nice 27-point win in Sacramento, followed by the next night, by the way, a win over Golden State. And they come home competitive with the Thunder in a loss. Then they get blown out by the Celtics. Great
yeah,
comeback win. Um,
great comeback win.
just doesn't happen that often. And the Pacers have won twice now in Boston this year. And then today, again, a pretty consistent effort through the last 3 weeks. And that's, if we can get Halliburton to start being Halliburton again, you got to think this team is dangerous.
I do. I mean, I wouldn't want to play them in the first round. I mean, if if they come in as a that sixth seed, or I mean, I'd love to see them in the top three, have home court advantage and everything like that. But um, I mean, the inconsistencies that they had. I mean, if they could be a few games over 500, I think I'm going to be happy with that now. Um, I'd like to see him go on a run and build on this energy, but I think you highlight something earlier that's extremely important for them to get a good grip on, and that's the rotation and
Yeah.
the minutes, and get using the depth that you have, um, you know. But
And they need to be dominant at home, and they haven't been for
yeah,
2 or 3 years now.
yeah, you just can't let a 19-point lead go on a team like Milwaukee at home.
Yeah.
That's a tough loss.
Packed house, crowd
Yeah,
behind you, and yeah, just it's a little disappointing, but at least they're playing well again. And because there was a point in this season where I was tired of looking at it.
yeah, I agree. And I enjoyed the game tonight. I loved the game when they played the last Celtics game.
Yep.
Um, hated watching the game on last Friday against the Celtics. But
Yeah.
sat there and still watched it, and and it was good that they came back out on Sunday and they rebounded well and they played extremely well. And that was a big win in, in Boston, and after getting blown out by 37 points, I mean, I was very pleased with how they played
Plus,
Sunday.
plus having the big lead, knowing that Boston was going to make a run at him. Boston
Yeah,
did make a run at him, and the Pacers just responded like it was nothing.
yeah, yeah. I
It was great to see.
and I think the teams that they're playing in the East recently, I think Milwaukee is, if Milwaukee plays the way they played tonight, and um, you know, I think that they're a top three team in the East. I mean, they got the pieces together. I think tonight was the first night Lillard and Giannis have played together this season. Um, so I think them being healthy, and um, but it didn't feel like the rivalry it was last year either tonight.
Yeah, it didn't, but that still could come at any moment with
Yeah.
Bobby Portis on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't stand
Uh,
that guy, but I would love to have him on the Pacers. So
yeah.
that's kind of how I
Portis
feel about
and
him.
him and Middleton, I don't like seeing them on the floor.
Sorry.
But
All right, Mike. Thanks so much, and happy New
yeah.
Year. Always love
Yeah.
hearing from you.
Hey, love being on the podcast and talking to you about the Pacers. And you and Susie have a happy New Year as well. And we'll talk in 2025.
Thanks to Mike Rich for joining us to talk about the Pacers. Always enjoy that. He and I every time say we're going to do it more often, and for some reason our schedules just don't quite match up sometimes. I got a lot of high school basketball to report, and he's got a lot of life to live, but we'll bring them to you as often as we can as things like the college football playoff and high school basketball start to wind down. We will start to talk more and more about college basketball and the Pacers. And thank you for listening. Please go right now and like, subscribe, or follow so you don't miss a single segment. Don't forget, we're now streaming at YouTube. Go any of the places: SoundCloud, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, or YouTube, and just search Central Indiana Sports Report, and you will find us right there. And tell a friend. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And yes, I love Susie.